and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. For those of you who missed it, I'm currently going through my entire makeup collection and swatching everything. We're going for chatty and in-depth with this one. In the last video, I did my foundations, concealers, and powders, and today we're doing bronzer, baby. That's right, it's definitely a favorite category in my collection, and I've got a lot of them. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, now we're gonna get into bronzer. So let's just start off with a bang. Let's start off with the Chanel. This is in my project pan this year. I want to try to get some use on it. This is the Soleil Tan de Chanel Bronze Universal. Before they realized that this is not a universal bronzing color. Here's what my pan looks like. And the reason that it looks like this is because I decanted some of it into this old RMS container so that I could travel with it. So this is not from use, unfortunately. Yeah, this is really enjoyable to use. I do like the formula. Unfortunately, it is a touch warm for me in terms of what I prefer for a bronzer. It has a little bit more maybe like oranginess to it and yeah, just warmth. And so that's not ideal. I prefer when bronzers have more of a red undertone that kind of lines up with my skin tone a little bit better. But overall, if I don't use a heavy hand, I find that I can still use this and it works well. All right, I'll just go ahead and touch on the Makeup Forever again. This is the palette that I got, and I use these 3 shades as bronzers. This is what they look like. So overall, I find that none of these are an exact fit for me, but they also do an incredible job of shearing out. The formula is so great. I'd say that this is maybe the closest one to a good bronzer color, though it is slightly more yellow than I prefer. But overall, these really mix and blend, and I can kind of make a customized thing, which is the point of this palette. Just lovely. Glad to have it in my collection. All right, next up we have the BareMinerals Invisible Bronze. I have the shade Fair Light. This is a bronzer that I really enjoy. Hello. I find that I just really like baked formulas. It might be actually hard for me to build this up, but I'm gonna try so you can see it. This is a bronzer that does have a red undertone, though it might be hard to see because it is so fair. But the thing is, I am also fair, and this works incredibly well, especially in the winter time for me. I like its like kind of natural iridescence that it has. I do think that it is discontinued, but overall, I just really enjoy BareMinerals bronzers. I've always had a good experience with them, and this is no exception. The other BareMinerals bronzer that I have is not discontinued. This is the Endless Summer bronzer in the shade Faux Tan. I do have a bit of pan on this. This might be one of my favorite bronzers in my collection. It is just so incredibly neutral, and it has a great smell, great really kind of soft and silky formula. Again, I'm gonna see if, oh wow, more pan. I'm gonna see if I can build it up. Really nice and neutral, doesn't lean super yellow or super orange. Yeah, I really enjoy this one. Next we have the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in the shade Forever Sunkissed. This one has such a lovely formula. It is so thin. It is so thin. Even as I'm touching it, it's just silky smooth. And I think I'm gonna struggle to, oh, well, maybe not. You really have to build it up, but at the same time, I love that in a bronzer. I love that I don't have to worry too much about being heavy-handed or having too much product go someplace that I don't want it to go. I can kind of really direct this, which is something I really love about this product. It's got a great price point, especially for what it is. Really great formula at the drugstore, and I could see myself repurchasing this sometime in the future. Now the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Bronzer in the shade Diffused Bronze Light. This one, sorry, I used the mirror. I used the mirror to like dab off my brush. I don't know. This one, I feel like it's hard to see the tone that it actually turns out to be because it is this baked formula and you have those lighter swirls in it. So it's not just like the color that you see there, but how it kind of all works together. This actually has a very similar feeling to the touch as the e.l.f. Primer Infused bronzer does. I've really enjoyed my experience with this so far. I'm not sure that I would repurchase, especially in this color, but it is enjoyable to use, and it does have that red undertone that I like. I'm not sure what the other colors are like in the collection, but I don't know, forking out so much for a bronzer, I'm not sure that that's my preference anymore. I'm going to enjoy it while I have it, and I do really like the formula. All right, another great drugstore bronzer that I have is the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It. This is in the shade Light 01. I have a lot of pan on this one. I obviously enjoy it. This has a more neutral undertone, and I find if a bronzer doesn't have the red undertone that I like, a neutral undertone will also work. This formula is pretty powdery though, and it does have quite the glimmer, as you can see. If I had my choice between a matte or a shimmery bronzer, I think I would definitely go matte, but this one's pretty subtle. It's picking up pretty bright because of the window. It doesn't look that way on the face. I'm enjoying using it, but I don't know that I would repurchase. If a shimmery bronzer is something that you go for though, I feel like this one is great, and you get so much product in the package at a drugstore price. Let's just dip into this one. I have the Saint Bella bronzer. They have a bunch of different bronzers. That's the color. I like this. I like this. I love a cream bronzer. So I do enjoy this one when I use it. The problem is, and I spoke about this in my inventory video, I think, that for something that I love, I still feel like I have too many bronzers because it's just hard to focus on all of them. It's hard to focus on all of them and enjoy the ones that I do have. I find myself pulled between different bronzers, and I'm afraid that they're going to go bad. So yeah, I would like to own less because it's something that I love. I don't want to feel like I have to use up these bronzers that I love half-heartedly just in order to get my money's worth. Instead, I want to kind of come from the position of focusing on the bronzers that I really do love and using those. All right, most people in the makeup community probably already know about this one, but this is the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer in the shade Light Medium. Speaking of cream bronzers, this is a lovely one. It is just so nice. Actually, just comparing like the way that Saint bronzer felt underneath the finger, for instance. Sorry, that pilling is not from the bronzer, it's from the baby wipe. Comparing the feeling of that other cream bronzer versus this one, this is just, it's so emollient and nice. I really enjoy using this bronzer. The undertone leans a little bit oranger than I would like, but in the pan though, you can tell, I mean, it's mostly neutral. It's mostly neutral, which is why I can make it work for me. And I love having it in my collection. I feel like it really leaves everything looking skin-like and dewy, and I mean, you know, it's in the name, skin enhancer. That's really the feeling I have with this one. All right, next up, I've got the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. It smells like chocolate, which is great, makes it my children's favorite bronzer that I have in my collection. I went with the milk chocolate one because I do lean fairer, especially in the winter months. I haven't had a chance to play with this too much, to be honest, because it's kind of newer in my collection, maybe as of last year. I found that recently I've been focusing on some of the older ones that I have. And again, I don't want that. I don't want to have so many bronzers or so many products in general that I feel like I have to pick and choose with usage. I want to have just enough to have that feeling of variety, but not too much that I neglect the things that I have. All right, this is the RMS Beauty Buriti bronzer. This is in my project pan. This is probably my favorite cream bronzer formulation that I've found. It does have kind of a redder undertone, and it's very emollient, very emollient. It also does have shimmer in it. I know I was just talking about preferring a matte bronzer, but I think that that's mainly true when it comes to powder bronzers. I don't like how shimmer comes off in a powder form as much, but in a cream form, I feel like it really just can blend into the skin and look really nice and natural. All right, I took a brief intermission to help my kid with something. I think I was talking about the Buriti bronzer. This is just a formula that I really love. Love how easy and quick it is. Love the natural dewy effect. Love the color. Love everything. Another thing in my collection is the Laura Geller Baked and Balance. This is actually a baked foundation, but it's in the shade Tan, and I use it as a bronzer. Like I said before, I really enjoy a baked formula. I like how thin the powders end up being, and this one is no exception. It'll probably take time to build up, but I also like that in a formula. I like the control that it gives me. I find that this is a really nice bronzer for me, especially in the middle of summer. I don't have a ton more to say about it, which is surprising because I actually do think that I would repurchase this if I finished it all up. The color just reads really nicely on my face, and I like how easy it is to use. Okay, last but not least, I have the M Cosmetics So Soft Bronzer in the shade Terra. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a contour color, but it definitely reads that way. My kids got into it, which is why it is looking so sad, but it still works, so I'm still using it. This is how the color looks. Yeah, just really nice and neutral. Definitely could work as a contour for some skin tones. For me, I can kind of use it either way. A little goes a very long way with this product. It is hard for me to not have a heavy hand with it. I find that just even 1 or 2 dabs with my brush is enough for one side of my face. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's good. If you have something that's so small, a little should go a long way. It's really nice to use. Overall, I really, really love the M Cosmetics formulas. I also have a blush by M Cosmetics, and I'm so impressed. They truly are just what they say, like baby soft, such a natural, nice finish on the face, pigmented, lovely. All right, now let's do some comparison swatches of my bronzers. Okay. Is that a ring? Can you see that? Is that the ring of the product? Is that the ring of the product?